never come to an end. But in case of hell, this is not said. It is ghara majzoos. So there is a difference. And in view of this and other descriptions of hell and heaven in different places, I once answered this question here, not only once, but many a time. And also I drew the attention of the audience at that time to one very important psychological fact, that the misery, although it is shorter in duration, seems to be almost never ending. While the pleasure, if it is intense, however long in duration may it be, it seems to have left us within just batting of an eyelid. So that also is to be taken into consideration in the description of hell and heaven in the Holy Quran. What people of hell would feel is sometimes described as never-ending, everlasting or something like this. Khalidina fiha, which means that as far as they are concerned, the inmates of hell would feel as if the hell is everlasting, it would never come to an end. If somebody is imprisoned for life, sometimes he prefers to die, and many a prisoner in England have chosen to die out die in a shootout rather than remain prisoners for life, because the torture or the punishment in itself is creates a psychological attitude towards time, which makes it appear that the time is elongated, has spread out, much more than its actual duration. While on the other hand, as you know, as all the poets of the world know, the time of pleasure is always short-lived. So when the Holy Quran tells us that the Jannah would be everlasting, which means it would really be something, never-ending. Otherwise, it's being most pleasurable, yet appearing to be everlasting means that it would really be everlasting. Otherwise, no pleasure appears to be everlasting. Even if it was 1,000 times more than hell, if the inmates of the heaven feel it is everlasting, it has to be everlasting. Otherwise, even after 10,000 years or a million years, they would tell Allah that only it had just started and you have taken it away from us. Like many a poet have complained to Allah, that you gave us a few hours of pleasure, and is that what you have done to us? Is that all you could give us? And in a matter of a jitty, the whole pleasure is finished and gone. Why nadani ke waqt marg ye sabit hua, khab tha jo kuch ke dekha, jo suna afsana tha. That sort of thing is being said by every poet. मान के लाए थे 4 दिन ना, दो आरज़ू में कट गए, 2 इंतजार में. और भी है गुनाह के मुतालिक. देखें हमने हौसले परवरदिगार के, एक फुर्सत है गुनाह मिली, वो भी 4 दिन. देखें हमने हौसले परवरदिगार के. A poet says that God gave us respite, or permitted us to enjoy sin for only a few days, 2, 3, 4 days, that's all. While all their lives, which may have lasted many years, they remained committed to sin, a life of sin. But when it passed, it appeared to be just nothing. But you suffer for a while and it seems to be never ending. Even one night sometimes looks like an age. So the Holy Quran should be read in that perspective as well. It wants to create certain impressions on us, and the language it uses directly relates to our psyche, and it should be understood in our own internal human terms. So when the Holy Quran says sometimes the hell is everlasting, because in other places it gives out a contradictory statement to this as well. So the situation we face is why at some places the Holy Quran says, Aqaba, what's the full verse?
لابثين فيها أحقاب.
لابثين فيها أحقاب, yes. That they would stay in hell only for a few 80 years. Haqab is 80 years. Aqaba is the plural of 80 years. So Aqaba means a few 80 years. And at another place the Holy Quran tells us, as you have just mentioned, مَا دَامَتِ السَّمَاوَاتُ وَالْأَرْضُ. So there has to be some compromise between the two statements. While as far as the heaven goes, nowhere the Holy Quran has put any limitation on the duration of heaven at all. The problem only arises vis-a-vis hell. So this is the solution I am proposing. When the Holy Quran tells us regarding hell that it is unlimited in time or everlasting in time, it only refers to our feeling, our perceptions of hell. Even if somebody is punished for 1,000 years, the way the punishment is described in the Holy Quran, it would look like, everlasting, never-ending period. So the people, the Holy Quran is warning us. As far as you are concerned, for you the hell would look like an everlasting punishment. Served us enough notice. So it is very essential for the Holy Quran to paint a very ugly picture of hell so that we fully become aware of what we face, what we are in for, if we don't desist from sinning. So this is why sometimes the emphasis is made on the longevity of hell. But as I've already mentioned in other places, there are clear-cut indications that hell will not last forever. And again, Hazrat Rasul Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself, who was the recipient of the Holy Quran, has explained that hell will never not be everlasting. He has told us in detail of what is going to happen to hell at the end of some time. He says that almost all the inmates of the hell would have been released at a time later on, and only one would be left. And then how he will be permitted to leave hell and creep his way into heaven. That's a very interesting not a story, but a description we find in Hadith. So that description of hell coming to an end would not contradict the Holy Quran. It is impossible. It is impossible to find any contradiction between Allah's sayings and the Holy Quran. So that also supports my view that the hell would ultimately end positively, but where it seems to be described as everlasting, the reason why is that for the inmates of hell, the time would appear to be everlasting.
Another question is that the common practice in non-Muslim countries,
yes,
especially in my country, is that...
you said non-Muslim countries? Common practice in non-Muslim countries?
Yes.
But your country is not a non-Muslim country, is that?
Well, it is on the paper according to...
But you have the majority of Muslims in Uganda, haven't you? No?
Not at all.
I see. That is the impression we received earlier.
It was the impression created by Idi Amin.
I see.
Yeah.
So actually it is not so?
Not so.
Okay, all right. So I stand corrected.
Yeah. So, they do not consider religious ceremonies during marriages as something important. So someone simply takes a woman and they keep on staying in the same house for years and years and they consider themselves married. Whereas actually they are not married neither from the cultural point of view or from the religious point of view. Now, what would be the case of such a